Okay. Okay, 1 second here. Let me put this up on Twitter here. Okay. Okay, here we go. Be a nice fun stream. How's everyone doing today? Okay. Does the stream work good, guys? Saboteur sometimes been a bit glitchy when I play it on PC. Just let me know. Can you hear me perfectly? And is the game running perfectly for you guys on the stream?
At least I didn't get.
I thought you were streaming earlier.
Nice
I was going
you got
to,
here.
but a few things came up. But I'm gonna keep my promise to stream GTA Online earlier tomorrow. So tomorrow I will start hours earlier. I will. You know, tomorrow's not gonna be like you know, the other days. So I apologize for that. Is the game too loud, guys?
Could you imagine me up there, huh?
Okay, it's good you're saying okay.
Was um alles in der Welt ist das? Ich hab ihn gleich!
Okay. Detonate this one next here too. Okay. So for people unfamiliar with this game, this is an open world World War II game. There we go. Nazi tower destroyed. And to get 100% completion, I have to collect all the vehicles, and I have to collect all the vehicles and destroy all the Nazi installations around France. I'm doing good, Isaiah. How are you? I gotta watch that movie, Pat. I think you'll like it. Yeah, he's talking about Gran Torino. That's a good one. Hi, GB. How are you, man? So, guys, the game is not too loud. I just want to make sure everyone's happy with the quality. The game isn't too loud right now. Where did the U.S. Army go during this time? During this time, nowhere. This game takes place in 1940 and 1941. So, like, right when this game takes place, the U.S. is actually not in World War II. At this time, it's just Britain versus Germany, mainly. There's resistance movements that are around Europe, don't get me wrong, but Britain was the, I think the only country at the time that was fighting, Germany still. A lot of other countries had gotten conquered at this time. There was people that were resisting in those countries, but there was no army that was resisting at this time other than Britain. It's way too loud. Okay, let me lower it a little bit here. Okay, we'll lower it a little bit here. This will be better. Okay. So, yeah, the thing about this is that, this game is set in a really, like, unique time of the war. Because most World War II games, you don't see the invasion of France. Most World War II games, you're fighting as, like, an American soldier, like, liberating France in 1944. So, this game actually takes place 3 to 4 years before the Normandy landings, before D-Day. But the thing about this is, this game starts in, this game starts in May of 1940. That's when the game starts. And it ends like somewhere around June or July 1941 because later on throughout the story, they make comments that Germany invaded the Soviet Union, and that was June of 1941. So the story of the Saboteur takes place over at least a year.
Yeah.
Here. Down. Okay, get out of this area here. Okay. I seen Leon the Professional a long time ago. I actually liked that movie.
Son of a bitch!
Okay. Will I ever play a Fallout game on this channel? Yeah, I want to play Fallout 3. That I do want to play in the future.
Bloody brilliant!
Ow. Oops. When you realize Laura Bailey plays both one of the most hated characters and one beloved character, Abby in The Last of Us 2 and MJ in Spider-Man. Oh, she played MJ in Spider-Man? I didn't know that. The thing about that, with regards to, like, with regards to Abby, thank you, Blinded, Eagle. With regards to Abby, I thought that Abby was really poorly written, and I think it was I think the character was just really badly written, but I don't think the actress deserved the harassment that she got, because the actress could only do what she did with the script that she had gotten, so it wasn't really her fault for that. But I don't think the character was written well, but, the actress, she didn't deserve the harassment. Here, okay, oh, crap. What's the button to zoom in again? I forgot what the button to zoom in again is. Oh my god. Okay. There we go. Yeah, but I'm just saying is that people should be pissed at Neil Druckmann, because he was the one who wrote the script for The Last of Us 2, but the actors, they should be left, I'm not saying to harass Neil Druckmann either, but that's where the anger should be, placed, because he's the one who wrote the script for The Last of Us 2. I just subscribed. Thank you for, subscribing, Dispensary, Stoner. Thank you for the thank you for subscribing. Thank you, man. Okay, Nazi searchlight destroyed. Okay, Nazi sniper nest destroyed. Oh wait, hang on one second. Bet you guys want to see this. Hold on. Okay, let's get out of this area.
You'd think I'd get used to this.
Okay, I gotta get on that roof over there. There we go, got it. Okay, here we go. Wait. Oh. Okay. Crap, I gotta get out of here. They're gonna box me in. Hey, Fernando, how are you, man? Oh, this is not good right now. Car, okay. Oh, I haven't collected this car?
Bleeding all over.
Okay, hold on. Okay. Okay. How do I look at my vehicles here? Hang on.
Maybe a new car, yes?
If I wanted to work on a farm, I would have never left Ireland. Well, is everything okay, Mr. Waifu? Okay, let me, over this drop here. Did I collect this car? Oh, no, I didn't collect this one either. Okay, let me put this one in my garage, too. My favorite Rockstar game? Probably GTA 4. Okay, collected another car. There we go.
Is Paris burning?
Oh, NPC's some nice little stupid in this. I'm sorry, Pro, but Red Dead Redemption 2 is much better than GTA 4, I guess. But I just like the New York setting in GTA 4, and I just like the, Steiner rifle. Take this, actually. Okay. Okay, here we go. Thanks for playing this game again. I bought it on EA a few months ago. Sadly, I had to download a Spanish translation because the launcher doesn't have an official one. Oh. Oh, this... I guess the... I didn't know that I thought that a lot of these games, I thought that most of these games would have been translated in Spanish or would have had Spanish subtitles. I guess not. Oh. Almost got detected there. But thank you, Alejandro, for that. What's that? A blinded eagle?
Ich suche ihn.
I gotta be careful. Yeah, they're suspicious. Here. Yeah, but I remember we played this game, what, like January last time on a stream? We never finished 100%, and I liked 100% a lot of these games when I play them, so I wanted to make sure we finished this one too.
Ah, that's gonna sting tomorrow.
Cats require almost no energy or time. You could get a pet. They just sit in your lap and give you company. Get 2 cats named Roman and Nico. Thank you, Feline King. Maybe one day. I don't know if I'm ready for a pet right now, though. I did complete Vice City Stories 100%. Yes. We could probably cause a lot of, chaos here.
Oh crap, I sprung a leg.
Point it all the way down. Oh wait, there's another one there, okay. Take that down too. That's an SS general right there. Let's see here, hang on. There's a challenge I know to, okay. There's a challenge I know to get, to take out an SS general with a stealth kill, but it looks like I got them all. Does anybody know what rifle the Steiner rifle is? I don't know what rifle this one is, and I know World War II guns pretty well. Yeah, it looks like a bolt action to me, but it's firing as a straight, it's firing as a semi-auto. I think this might be the Mannlicher. That's what it might be, the Austrian rifle. Okay. Light this up here. We could probably climb up on this, too.
Perfect.
Oh, the Storm Elite Terror Squads and the Saboteur are meant to be a mix between the Storm Elite Medal of Honor Airborne and also Wolfenstein, steampunk setting. Oh, how do you know that, though, Miss, Lendon? But thank you for the super chat, man. Yeah, the terrorist squad in this game are pretty scary, and they're the most powerful enemies in the game. Let's see here. All of these white dots are different Nazi installations, and so there's still a lot of stuff to blow up and a lot of stuff to destroy. We're driving home from work. See you tomorrow. Thank you, Fernando. Thank you for the super chat, man. I'll see you. As a kid, did you meet someone as a kid who seemed like a good kid but ended up being a criminal? Also, I think AI with some things like music is cool. Thank you, Blinded Eagle. Do I know somebody that seemed like a good kid but ended up becoming a criminal?
I've been thinking about going to church, Father. Not thinking hard, mind ya.
There was yeah. There was this I don't know if I really know anybody that was a that seemed like a good kid but they turned out to be a criminal, but I can tell you though that I have seen kids that are like really like okay, I got a second here. I have seen some really bad kids. That's all I'll tell you. Let's go. See here. I can tell you actually a story I just remembered, in that regard. There was one of my friends that I, oh, crap, let me get it. There was one of my friends that was, that I went to middle school with. This is when I still lived in New York City. And, there's one of my friends that I went to middle school with. And, he wasn't really that much a friend of mine. He was still, like, a friend, but, you know, we actually became much better friends, you know, later on, years later. But at the time, he wasn't that much of a friend of mine. But, basically, what happened with him is that, I wouldn't say that he was, you know, I wouldn't say like he was a bad kid. He did do stupid things. There was him and a few of his friends where they would go into like stores, and what they would do is they would take things. I never did things like that. I didn't hang out with them, but they would go into stores and sometimes take things. And it wasn't that they couldn't afford it. It was more that they more just wanted to get away with it. That was just more. It was like more like a challenge for them. It was just something fun to do. And, you know, they would typically take snacks and stuff like that, yeah. And what happened is, there was this one kid that was in the group, and this is according to what my friend told me. My friend's a good guy today, by the way. He's, you know, completely changed. He's not like that anymore. He's a good guy. But at the time, what basically happened was, one of the friends or one of the people he fought was his friend. What happened was he put a bunch of watches in his bag, and like those watches were like $10 each, and that stacked up to like I think like $100, $200. And what ended up happening is when they were going out of the store through the metal detector,
Eyes front,
metal
yeah.
detector catches them. The security guard in the store says, "Let me see your bag." And what happens is that other kid who put all the watches in his bag ran out the door and just left them there. And what ended up happening is he ran away too. He got past the security guard, ran away. But when the security guard got his bag, his school ID was in the bag. And so the security guard went to the school and said, this student of yours, took this from this student of yours took this from our store, and he got in trouble for it. Now, the store didn't press charges, so he didn't get arrested. But I don't remember whether he got in trouble at school. I'm trying to remember that. I think he did get some kind of disciplinary action at school. I don't remember what it was exactly. And this is all according to what my friend told me. But I do believe him. And the reason I do believe him is because the other kid in the story is a massive scumbag. The other kid, I knew him, and he was a massive scumbag. And so basically what happens is, remember, he gets the blame for this, for, all these watches getting put in his bag. And the other kid just runs out and leaves him there. Now, he ends up getting in trouble. His parents, because his parents were really strict people, like really, really strict people. And he told me that he was actually more scared of his parents than he was of the school punishment. And so he was grounded for like months. Like it was like a really, really strict punishment. And what happens is, a few weeks later, after the whole thing happened, that one kid who put the watches in his bags is talking crap about him, just in the cafeteria, just like saying bad things about him. And he gets, he's just calling him like a loser, that he got caught and everything like that. And, my friend at the time, he gets pissed off. He just gets enraged. And what he does is he just walks up to this kid and just punches him, just knocks him to the ground, and just punched him a bunch of times. And what ended up happening was he punched him a bunch of times. This kid actually ended up going to another school. And he got in trouble for that too. I think he got suspended for a few months. And the thing about that is I was so shocked by him doing that. And I was so shocked by him doing that because I've known him for so many years, and I've never seen like a violent side to him. Like I've never seen that before. I didn't see the fight itself because at that time I moved away, so I wasn't living in New York City anymore. I was living in Long Island. But, I never, saw like a side like that to my friend before. And what basically happened is he actually freaked out about that. He himself told me that he didn't even realize that he had punched him that many times. Like, he didn't, put the kid in the hospital. He didn't do that. But, he did, hit him a bunch of times. And he just told me that he just saw rage when it happened. That was just it. Because he got in trouble for this, and that was just, that. But the thing about this is, I'm not saying what he did was right, wasn't. But the kid that he hurt was like a massive scumbag and had caused a lot of people problems in the school. Like, people just hated that kid. And so people were not really that, I wouldn't say they were really that upset about it. But ever since then, and this happened when he was like in 8th grade. So this happened like how 8th grade was, that was 2007, 2008. So this entire situation happened like, what, 16 years ago? Yeah, 16 years ago about when this whole thing happened. And ever since then, those 16 years, he has never been in a fight ever in those 16 years. He's never hurt anybody, never done anything like that. And, even when he's gotten really pissed off, he's made a promise to himself never to hurt anybody because he himself, was just so ashamed of himself because he was very ashamed that he did that. He hated the kid, but he was really ashamed of himself that he did that. And so, he's a good kid, good guy today. I know him. He's a good friend of mine, but it was just like a bad, bad event that happened. So hope that answered your story. Okay, let's put this here. Well, you can only push a man so far, yeah. Well, yeah. Like, the whole thing could have been avoided, if the other kid hadn't put that stuff in his backpack. But it was just, yeah. me get out of here. But look, here's what I'll tell you guys about that situation. You know, my friend today, he's a really nice guy. He's a good guy today. You know, this is something, you know, he got into a fight when he was like, you know, 13 years old. You know, he's a changed person. But what I'll say about this situation is that the other kid who got hurt in this story is he was the reason that my friend had gotten caught and my friend had gotten suspended. And not only was he the reason he got suspended, but my buddy did not rat him out. He didn't snitch on him. Even though he could have, he didn't snitch on him. He didn't rat that other kid out. And that other kid still had the nerve to talk crap about him. You know, so you can imagine how my friend was feeling at the time. So that's why he got really upset and, you know, and just basically attacked that kid. You know, I'm not saying it was right, but, you know, that kid, well, like I said, he was a massive scumbag and a lot of people did not like him. Okay, let me get out of here. What was the friend's name? I'm not gonna say it, you know, for privacy reasons, because he's a friend of mine. But it's, you know, that was just people wanted me to tell a story about, like, you know, a possible fight or some, in the comments before, and so I told that one. I never told that story before. Let me get here.
Piece of cake. Well, that was easy.
Well, I told the story before, like, a few minutes beforehand. Basically, you know, this other kid that my friend had hung out with in school had put a bunch of watches in his bag when they were in a store. And the metal detector went off, and he got caught because of that. And the other kid ran away, and my friend didn't rat him out, and then even after that, he still started talking crap about him, and so he got a bit pissed off about that and had, punched him. But when that whole situation happened, when that kid, you know, when my friend hit that kid at the time, nobody was surprised that that kid had gotten beat up, because that kid, you know, like I said, everybody hated him. You know, he was just, you know, a scumbag. What people were surprised by was that my friend did it, because nobody expected somebody like him to do something like that. He was always a chill guy. But, you know, he lost his patience.
What a rocket!
Okay. Okay. Destroy all of this stuff here. How do I climb to the top of this building? There's gotta be a way to get up here. I should probably lose my wanted level before. Oh god. If you guys want to know what they killed me with just now, that was the MG42. When the MG42, when the Nazis use that on you, that's like they will kill you so quickly when that happens.
I wanted to dance ballet, but this is as far
okay.
as I got.
See here. How do you know so much about history? I like to read a lot. Yeah, I do like to read, especially World War II history. But like, you know, I think that people should care about history, because I think that history is extremely I think history is extremely important, and you know, people should care. Let's see here. And we'll get Panzer Shrek 2 here. Okay,
You need something deadly?
There we go. Okay. Yeah, but look, here's what I'll tell you guys about something. is that I wish a lot more people would care about history, because history is very important, especially to make sure that this, you know, especially history is also important to make sure that it doesn't repeat itself. You know, you have to make sure that bad things, you know, don't happen again. And, you know, it's important to learn from history, make sure, like, an event like World War II, for example, like, something like this never happens again. But what I'll tell you is that unfortunately, there is a lot of people that for them, honestly, they would rather worship celebrities than like actually look up the actual heroes, like World War II veterans. Like, World War II veterans for me are the real celebrities, and those are the real heroes. And I wish more people would look up to them than these celebrities. You know, the thing about this is I actually made a video like a few hours ago talking about that Twitch streamer that like caused a riot in New York City. And what happened was I had like within an hour, I just had so many hostile comments. Like, I haven't seen that many toxic comments on a video of mine in like a long time. And I just looking at the comments section, and there's like people that are like calling me an idiot and saying like, oh, why are you talking like crap about Kai? He's a good guy and everything like that. But it's like the guy caused a riot. Like, he literally did. I'm not saying that he's typically a bad person or that he makes, you know, bad content. But the guy caused a riot. You know, he literally did an unlawful assembly. People got hurt. 3 cops got beat up. So it's just like, and I just don't understand why people would defend somebody like that. I just don't get it. You know, the guy should just take personal responsibility for what happened. It just, honestly, it just surprised me that there were so many people in the comments that were defending him. It just surprised me on that. I did not expect that. Yeah, there was 3 cops that suffered injuries. Like, I don't know if the cops were involved in a fist fight. That I don't know. But I read in the article that 3 cops were injured. So 3 cops were injured during those riots. So I'm assuming that they had gotten punched or pushed or something happened, or something thrown at them. Let me look here. Why did you not like about Abby's story? What would you have changed? Well, let's say she still killed Joel, and what about Ellie? Anything you change? Yes, I would. And I'll answer your question just one moment, Blinded Eagle, I promise. Just let me just answer this point. Look, and here's, it's not just his fans. Like, some of his fans are my fans, too, which I don't have a problem with that. But it's like, I seen some nasty comments today of, like, people, like, you know, there's one guy that was telling me, like, oh, I expected better from you, Professional, I unsubscribed and stuff like that, and I did lose, like, 50 subs or so from that video today, but what I'll say about this, I'm not gonna change my stance on that, like, you know, my position on that. It's just, you know, the guy caused people to get hurt. I know he didn't want people to, I know he didn't want people to riot, I know he didn't call for people to riot, but in the end, he caused it. It was his fault. Because he didn't tell the NYPD ahead of time, he didn't get a permit. It's like the guy's like one of the most popular streamers on Twitch. If he's gonna go to a place like downtown New York and he's gonna be giving away free PS5s, of course people are gonna show up. Even people who don't watch his channel are gonna show up just to get a free PS5. So it's like, if you do something like that, tons of people are gonna show up, and you're gonna have an overcrowding of people. And so in the end, it's just he was responsible for it. There was one guy that wrote a comment where he told me that I was just jealous, and he said that he's like, you will never be as good as Kai in your life, Professional. It's like, even your offspring won't make as much money as Kai. Like, one guy actually wrote that. It's such a nasty comment. And like, I'm like, dude, literally, like, the guy literally caused a riot. Like, it's like, and I don't care about fame, guys. I don't care. This guy is supposedly like the biggest streamer on Twitch, and people are getting pissed off that I called him stupid. It's like, I don't care. I don't care about celebrities. I don't care how big this guy is. I don't care if this is the richest person in the world that I just insulted. I don't care. You know, the guy, you know, it's like, if you, like, imagine if you were there in New York at the time, like, when that happened. Like, imagine if your car had gotten destroyed. Imagine if your store had gotten destroyed. Imagine if you got beat up. Like, you know, imagine if that happened. You got hurt during this. I think your views of the guy would be completely different. So, yes, I know he didn't, I know that he didn't ask people to riot. He probably didn't expect that. But, I mean, like, come on, dude. You ask for, like, you know thousands of people are going to show up in, like, one area. Something like this is going to happen. He should have told the New York police ahead of time. The New York police had to get out 1,000 people, 1,000 cops. How much police resources did that get wasted? And it's just my God. That's just what I'll say about that. Yeah, it's just that. But I'm sorry, you know, if somebody unsubscribed from me, you know, over me, like, you know, calling the guy stupid, it's like, okay, you know, it's like, it's your choice. You know, I'm not gonna tell people what to do. If you want to unsubscribe from me, that's ultimately your choice. But, you know, I'm not gonna change my position. I'm not gonna, like, you know, say that the guy's, like, a good guy or something like that after what had happened. I'm sure he's done good things, don't get me wrong, but what he did there was stupid. It was idiotic, and there's no question about it, and people need to think for themselves and not just, like, follow these celebrities, like, literally like it's the end of time. That's what I'll say about it.
Pleasure doing business with you.
Let me look at the comment here. What was it? What do I not like about Abby's storyline? Okay, look. Here's the thing about this, is my problem with Abby in The Last of Us 2 is I think that Abby was just poorly written. I think that I don't blame the actress, because it was a script that she was given. I blame Neil Druckmann. What I'll say about, like, with Abby and all of that stuff that happened, how would I have written the storyline different? For one, I would have made Abby Marlene's daughter. That's who I would have made Abby. Abby should have been Marlene's daughter, not some random NPC doctor that was in The Last of Us 2. If she was Marlene's daughter, that would have made a lot more sense. It would have been actually a lot more emotional if she was Marlene's daughter, because, you know, Joel just shot her in the face when she said, let me go. You know, that would have been a lot more sense. But the fact that she was, like, a random NPC's daughter, like a random NPC that we didn't even care about in The Last of Us 1, just some doctor in the background, like, that was just stupid. And it was, what else was it? What else I would have done about the storyline is I wouldn't have had the Joel death scene. Like, the way that it was done in the game was just stupid. Like, the way that the way that death scene was done was just so idiotic and just so stupid. How I would have done it instead is I would have had the same situation. But what I would have done is I would have gotten rid of Abby's stupid friends. So Abby's stupid friends would not exist in my version of The Last of Us, because honestly, sometimes sometimes I dislike Abby's friends more than Abby herself. Because Abby's friends are scumbags. But what I would have done differently is how I would have done it is that Abby's storyline would have been, she would have traveled trying to find Joel, and Joel saves her life, just as he did. And what Abby does is Abby decides not to kill him at that moment, and she decides to, like, go back to Joel's settlement, you know, in Jackson. And Abby decides that, you know, Abby is trying to get to know Joel and stuff like that, and she's like, you know, this guy killed my father, but he just saved my life. And so she's, like, a bit conflicted, you know, don't you think that would have added more to the story if you did something like that? And then what happens is, she gets to know Joel throughout the story when she's living in Jackson. And she finds out that Joel is not this evil monster devil that she thinks he is. And then at the end of the game, there's, like, a scene where she's traveling with Joel, and Joel is about to die. Like, something is gonna happen. And she has to make a decision. Does she save Joel or let him die? And something like that. I think that, if you wrote it like that, I think that would have been much better than the mess that we had gotten with The Last of Us 2. You know, that was just stupid, what they did. It was just dumb. Like, you know, who the hell, you know, thought that story was a good idea, the way that it was written. It was just bad. Oh, I already collected this vehicle, okay. Wait, that's the Nazi limo. Did I collect that in my garage?
You're not a bad sort.
I did collect it, okay. Yeah. I understand your position on that riot. In Argentina, we had a lot of anti-vaxxers doing mess during 2020 and 2021. They're part guilty about our 100,000 COVID. Oh, I'm sorry that happened in your country, Alejandro. Thank you for the super chat. But it's like when you have an event like that, right? And you have, like, that many people coming out for something that's free, you know, it's gonna, you know, you're gonna have something like what happened. Unfortunately. And, you know, Kai needs to take responsibility for that. Let me see here. Okay, yeah, you see this? This is a glitch, guys. See this? When they were designing the game, when they were designing the Saboteur, the developer made a mistake here. You see this? this barbed wire should not be here. That's a mistake on the developer's part. Because they let you climb the pipe, but there's a barbed wire there. That was definitely an incorrect placement of the barbed wire when they were making the game. Okay, come on, no. Ooh, that was close. Okay. Oh no. Oh no. Oh.
Focus. Focus.
Oh crap, I just got kicked off the tower, man. Look, Bayou, about the whole thing with Kai, is, I'm not saying that Kai is a bad person. You know, what he did was really stupid, and he should take responsibility for what he did. I'm sure he's done nice things on his channel before in the past. I don't know, I haven't watched his channel, so I don't know that. But what I will tell you is that that whole situation he did was stupid, and that was his fault. It was idiotic, and people got hurt because of that. And he has to take responsibility for that. So, okay, I understand, maybe he helped kids in the past, but that was just a dumb situation, that, you know, with that giveaway. I'm not saying helping kids is wrong, you know, it's fine, but when you're doing, like, something like that, like a public event, like, it's like a massive, you know, gathering like that, especially in New York, and it's gonna be free, people are gonna, you know, people are gonna rush there. Like, just, I used to work in a store, guys, in retail. I used to work in retail. I worked in retail for 6 years. You know what the worst day to work in retail was? Black Friday. It was the worst day to work in retail. And the reason that Black Friday sucked so much is because during Black Friday, people would be waiting until the store would be open, and then they would just rush in the store. They would just run in immediately when the store was open. And that's what sucked so much about Black Friday. That was why it was terrible. And people were pushing each other. They were pushing each other constantly, like pushing each other, trying to get deals. But that's over deals. Now, if you have free stuff, it's going to be even more aggressive. It's going to be even worse. And so that's what I tell is, like, you know, the people that are defending Kai in this situation, just think, how would you react if you were in that crowd? If you had gotten hurt, or your car had gotten smashed, or your store had gotten smashed, how would you feel in that situation, okay? So I'm not like, this is not like a complete attack on him. I'm not saying he's the worst person in the world, but what he did was idiotic there. And I think a lot of people agree with me on that. I'm sure people disagree with me, but that's what I'll say about that. Okay. Let me see here. Thank you, Fernando Mangarez. Thank you for the super chat. Thank you, man. Is that Avatar? Is that Avatar French? I think that's the French flag, right? Thank you, man, for the super chat. And thank you, Westy, for sponsoring my channel. Thanks, man. And thank you, Blinded Eagle, for the super chat. I know you said about Spider-Man 2, how are you going to travel through Queens? Well, for the record, we now have the web slings, and I think Fast Travel will be back. Well, the reason I'll say, how are you going to travel through Queens is because Queens does not have a lot of high-rise buildings. Like, Brooklyn has more high-rise buildings than Queens does.
Fair day's labor for a fair day's pay.
Okay,
There's people fighting for you out there.
Oh, Web Wings. Oh, I'm sorry, Blinded Eagle. I read it wrong. Web Wings. I'm sorry. My bad. I read your comment wrong. Sorry. Did people actually unsubscribe because of the Kai video? Yes. I lost, like, I think 50 subscribers from that vid. But the thing about this is, look, I'm not gonna change my stance on this, guys. Like, I'm not gonna, like, you know, give in to peer pressure and just, like, you know, take the video down or something like that because it's, because some people have, you know, unsubscribed. It's just, look, this is a bit personal for me because I'm also from New York. I think Kai is from New York as well, but it was just, look, it's just, was just a stupid thing what he did. I'm not saying the giveaway was stupid, that's fine. But the way that he didn't have this planned, he didn't have this organized, having such a large amount of people in just one area, there's a reason the NYPD arrested him. There's a reason that the cops arrested him. And, it's like, people got hurt, and there's people that are still, like, you know, saying, oh, you shouldn't be saying that it's not his fault, professional. Well, the NYPD didn't think that the NYPD disagree with you on that. Okay, let's see here. You ever think about moving apartments if the rent gets too expensive? I get annoyed when the rent goes up, I do. But the thing about it is, no, I'm not gonna move, because I'm not gonna move all my stuff trying to find a new location. And I do like my apartment, so I'm happy with my apartment. That was nice. Okay. And the thing about this, guys, is I own a rental property as well. And, the rental property that I own as well, I own a house and I rent it out to a family, nice family. I'm very, you know, reasonable. I'm not like a psycho landlord or a greedy landlord or anything like that. Whenever my tenants need me, I always help them out. You know, what I'm doing, right now is, what happened is, I'll tell you guys a story about this. Don't feel guilty about that, Pro. You have the same opinion that everyone else could have about that same type, this type of kind. Don't pay attention to that, haters. Be yourself. Thank you, Alejandro. Thanks, man.
It's good to see you.
Go here. You know what I'll tell you guys? What disgusted me so much is there was one guy who accused me of being racist in the Kai video. I did not bring up race even one time in that whole thing. But I don't know whether he was trolling or being serious, but that just disgusted me. That has nothing to do with race. I don't care about the guy's race. The guy literally it was just stupid what he did. It was like a dumb event that people got hurt at. There's better ways to go about doing a giveaway. Okay. Okay, let's get over here. Okay, let's see here. Get up here. Okay. Okay, let's just get rid of this gun here. I know look, I know the guy didn't mean to start a riot. That's, you know, I know that. But oh great, I can't hit that tower from here. But it's more about him being stupid and reckless. That he caused it in the end. He did. Now look, you can still be charged with inciting a riot, even if you can still be in charge of inciting a riot, even if you didn't intend to do that. If your actions led to a riot, you can still be charged with that. That's what people don't understand about this whole thing. But yeah, and if the guy, you know, if he makes an apology over that, maybe, you know, he can make a comeback. But he has to take responsibility also. He has to face the consequences. But it's just that, you know, people got hurt because of that, and he has to man up to that. Here. Oh, I forgot I had the Panzerschreck. Damn. Do you think that Kai will take responsibility? I don't know. I can't judge because I don't know him. I don't watch his channel, so I don't know. I don't know if he will. Damn, yep. I gotta get out of here. No, I'm in a bad... yeah, you can't be in the open too much in this game. Let me look here. Pro, don't be surprised. A lot of people throw around the word racist to anyone they disagree with. If anything, I think you were being too nice. Well, thank you. Thank you, Greatest Within. Thank you, man. Thank you for the, thank you for the super chat. And, thank you, Revan. Hi, Pro, do you think Rockstar should have made new vehicles specifically for the car club instead of removing old ones and monetizing them? It was really stupid of them, in my opinion. Yeah, they should have made new cars, but the thing about this is I don't like the idea of even new cars being locked behind GTA Plus. I don't like that. I don't care if GTA Plus gets a new car like a few days early, but if there's like a new car that is locked specifically behind GTA Plus, I don't like that.
I got weapons, monsieur.
Okay, let me see here. I get the point that you're making. All I'm saying is that because of the PS5 web wings have been added and we have wind tunnels, or even faster travel, which makes sense considering physics and wind speeds. Oh, okay. I wonder how urbanized Queens is gonna be in that game. And thank you, Mobinator. Hi, Pro. Don't worry about your subs, man. I respect your opinion on the whole situation, Kai. He should have done that. He should not have done that to cause a riot so that people can get hurt. You rock with the cosplay, by the way. Thank you, Mobinator. Thanks, man. Okay. Use this disguise to sneak past them. Okay, let me see here. What do I gotta... You know what? Let's go to the countryside. We've been spending too much time in the city. Let's leave Paris right now. I haven't collected this vehicle. Okay, I'll put it in my garage then. Oh, I used to... You want to know something? I used to watch One Piece when I was a kid. Like, when One Piece first came on in the 90s, I started watching it when it first came out. I was a little kid then. I was, what, 6 or 7 when it first came on in the 90s? And I watched it right when it came out. Okay.
Maybe a new car, yes?
Okay, we see here. Okay, let me see here. Uh... Okay. 1 second, guys. I'm just reading through some of the comments. Pro, my ads are so annoying? Wait, what are you talking about? There shouldn't be ads in the video, though. I never put ads in my stream until the stream is uploaded. I only put an ad at the beginning when people click on the stream, and I don't put ads during a stream. I never do that. It's only at the beginning when people first click on it. But I only put ads in a stream after it's uploaded. That's so it's only I only have that beginning ad when people watch the stream. That's it. You were gonna tell a story about your rental property, right? Okay, yeah, so let me tell you a story about my rental property. So, I just got a bit sidetracked here. Let's see here. Cars. Okay, here we go, Aurora. So, about my rental property, about it is, I had a family that moved in, right? Nice family. And about the family that moved in, what happened with them is that, there's a property management company that I use. Now, I run my rentals on my own. I don't use a property management company to manage it for me, but what I use the property management company is I use them to basically find the tenants for me, so it's called tenant placement. So what they do is, the property management company, what they do is they find the tenants for me. They advertise my property, you know, they put it up on, you know, they put it up online, they interview people, they, you know, they do a background check, and they have them sign the lease. So they create the contract for me, the lease contract, and they have the tenants sign that. And what I basically do is I pay the management company 70% of the first month's rent, and then after that, I collect 100% of the rent, but I'm responsible for the property managing it. So I manage it on my own at that point. I just use them because it's a nice service to find tenants. But basically, when they take 70% of the first month's rent, that property management company, the tenants, what they do is they pay the rent to that company. So they pay the first month's rent to that company. And then what they do is they, when they pay the first month's rent to that company, and then that company gives me 30% of that first month's rent. They send me a check for 30% of it. Now, what basically happened is, this family had not moved in yet, because they were coming in from another state. And so the move-in date was July 14th, but they were 5 days late. And because they were 5 days late, what the property management company did was they charged them a $140 fee to that family. This was not me, this was the property management company who did that. And they charged them a $140 fee when they were just moving in. I know they were 5 days late but, you know, I think $140 fee was ridiculous. I think that's too much. And what happened was I told the tenants, my new tenants, I told them that when you guys gotta pay next month's rent, you know, what you do is just pay me $140 less. So I took $140 off of the rent for that month. I said, you know, I'll take $140 off of your next month's rent, just so you guys don't have to, you don't have to deal with that fee. So I took a hit. You know, I took $140 off of the first month's rent. I did that for them, so they didn't have to deal with the fee. And that's the trick to being a good landlord. Is, you know, you have to build good relations with your tenants, and you have to, you know, do the right thing sometimes. But unfortunately, there's a lot of scummy, like, you know, cheap, greedy landlords. But it's like, rentals are a good business. It's a good way to make money, you know, passive income. But you also have an obligation to be, a good, decent person when you're a landlord. You know, don't be a scumbag. And so that's, But, you know, they really appreciated it. They were very surprised that I took care of that for them. Like, they didn't expect me to do that. But I took care of that, and the way that I look at it is, it's not just me being nice. That's part of the reason, but it's also good for business. That's another reason, because this family are gonna be renting my house for a year. That rental property, they've been living there for a year, and so I want to have good relations with them. You know, I want to start out on a good foot. I don't want this to, you know, to be a bad, you know, tenant and landlord relationship. But what I will tell you is that there's also bad tenants out there. there's bad landlords, sure, but there's bad tenants out there too. And a lot of people don't talk about the bad tenants. But there are bad tenants that will take advantage of good landlords. That happens. And what I will say is that my advice, if you are renting out a property, if you ever decide to become a landlord, because it is a good business, it is a good way to make money. If you ever do decide to become a landlord, one of the best tips that I can give you when you're a landlord, what you do is, if your tenants are late on their rent, if they're late like a few days on their rent, don't charge them a fee. But what you do is, instead, just charge them the regular amount of the rent that they're supposed to get from you. But what you do is, you remind them. You tell them, you know, you guys were a few days late, and I waived the late fee for you guys. You know, make sure you tell them that. And just waive it for them, you know, be nice. But if they do it a second time, where they're late on the rent, charge them a fee at that point. Because I know a lot of landlords, what they do is they charge like a fee the first time when they're late on rent. But I never do that. You know, the way I do it is I will only charge a fee if they are late the second time. If they're late like the first time, I'll let it slide. But I've only had that happen one time. You know, just one time. That's it. And so that's so it's never happened a second time. But that's like, you know, that's one thing I'll say about being like a good landlord. You gotta be compassionate, understanding, because things do happen. Things do happen, and sometimes there's things that aren't the tenant's fault. And, you know, sometimes there's a reason they might not have been able to make a payment and stuff like that, but they do have to make a payment in the end. So, you know, try to work with your tenants, you know, try to be, you know, a nice guy and understand their perspective. That's, say...
Right gone, you are.
Okay. What the... Oh, no, no, no. There's stupid whistles out of here. That's a flak 88, I think, right? Somebody correct me if I'm wrong. Okay. Okay, all of this is gonna go boom right now. There we go. That's taken care of. Did you hear about the TWA plane that exploded over the Atlantic Ocean? I do know about that. That exploded off the coast of New York. Yes, the cause of the plane explosion was an air conditioning system. They said the air conditioning malfunctioned and exploded. What I'll tell you, there's something not, you know, there's some strange things about that story. Like, I'm not a conspiracy guy, you know, don't get me wrong, but there's just some strange things about TWA Flight 800. My teacher even said that when I was studying law enforcement. One of my teachers, he was a detective for, you know, 30-something years, and he even said about TWA Flight 800, he said that there's something just not right about that case. That there's something else that's there's a conspiracy theory that there's a conspiracy theory of what happened with that plane. There was a Black Hawk military helicopter that was in the area when that plane actually went down, and there's a conspiracy theory that the military was doing some kind of exercise, something. And some people say they saw a bright light in the sky, and there's one conspiracy theory that the military was doing some kind of exercise. And that one of the missiles that they fired during an exercise or something like that, that it instead locked onto the plane and hit the plane. There's a conspiracy regarding that. But the thing about that is, I don't know if I necessarily believe that conspiracy, because this was Long Island, New York, and, you know, you don't really have military bases that do live exercises like that in Long Island. So it's I don't know, you know, what the deal is, but this happened in the 90s, I think. I think it was the 90s when TWA Flight 800 blew up, but it was, yeah, there's just, like, I'm not trying to spread conspiracies here or anything, but I'm just saying is that there's some weird things about that case. When are you doing Saints Row 4? We will do Saints Row 4 in the fall. I will do it this year, I promise. But before I do Saints Row 4, we're going to do Saints Row 3 story DLCs. Man, this game is really beautiful still for a 2009 game. And I'll tell you though, a lot of the French countryside in this game, they got the French countryside right. Yeah, but this is the only open world game that I know of that takes place in France. What's your favorite mafia hit in any movie, any show or movie? Oh, that's easy. My favorite mafia hit in a movie or a TV show. In a movie, my favorite mafia hit in a movie is when Michael Corleone, when he shoots, yeah, oh, crap, hang on a second here. When Michael Corleone shoots, Salazzo and McCluskey, that's my favorite mafia movie hit, that one, in a movie. My favorite TV show mafia hit would have to be in The Sopranos. It would have to be Phil Leotardo's death. When Phil Leotardo got shot in the back of the head and then he got run over by the car, that was probably my favorite mafia hit in a TV show. By the way, guys, that really scary Nazi gun is here, in this part. Yeah, that thing, right there. That is the, I'm trying to remember what the name of that gun is. Somebody let me know in the comments. I'm trying to remember what it is. The Nazis really built a gun like that. That was real, by the way. But it was built on railroad tracks. So it was put on the tracks of railroads. Oh, why is it not detonating? Okay, now it detonated. Okay. Gustav cannon. It's the Gustav. Okay, yeah.
Son of a bitch!
The thing about the Saboteur is, even though the Saboteur takes place in 1941, you know, the STG-44 would not exist at this time period. You know, that's one thing they got wrong with the guns. Okay. I'm gonna destroy all of this, including the Gustav right now. Damn, there's... I play on very hard, by the way. So it's, the reason I play on very hard is because it's like, you know, you're supposed to be a resistance member, so it's not supposed to be easy. Oh, no, 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 no. Damn, they got me. Yes, I'm planning a Pegorino lore video, and I'm actually making a lore video on this game this month. So this month, I'm actually making a lore video on this game specifically. The thing about this is that the guy that you actually play as in this game, Sean Devlin, he's actually based on a real-life person. He's based on a real-life resistance fighter. The real-life resistance fighter that he was based on, he was half English and half French. He had a French mom and I think an English dad, and he was a race car driver, and he had done he had helped the resistance. He had done sabotage against the Nazis. He had rigged Nazi cars to explode. What basically happened to him is that the Nazis had actually captured him in 1943, and he spent the next 2 years in a concentration camp where he actually died in 1945. So the guy, Sean Devlin, is inspired by the real-life guy. I forget what the real-life guy's name is, but he's based on a real-life resistance fighter. When did this take place? This game takes place in 1940, 1941. Okay, hang on a second. I'm gonna need a disguise. Okay. Okay. Oh my god, look at this, what this is. When I detonate this, my god, this is gonna be... Was main antagonist in this game a psychopath? Dierker? To a degree, yes. But when Dierker is like saying that we're gonna go to hell, probably not. Because a psychopath would not care about that. Okay, I almost have everything that... I have charges placed on everything. There we go. Oh. They're investigating. Okay, get out of this area. Okay. He's based on William Grover Williams. Yep, that's the guy. Okay, it's here.
Must miss you.
Oh, no. Okay, time to go. Oh, let me show you guys something really funny here. Look at this. Oh, there, I'm in plain sight. So I can't really do it right now. I'm gonna show you guys something really funny. There's actually a really funny way to lose the Nazis in this game when they're chasing you. 1 second here. Okay, look at this.
That should do it.
That's actually a way to lose your wanted level. That's. And the thing about this is that you actually get a trophy on the PlayStation 3 version. So on the PS3 version, there's actually a trophy to actually do that. So that's Okay, speaker destroyed. There's also a trophy if Sean smokes 100 cigarettes, because you can smoke cigarettes in this game. I think that you also get a trophy for that. Was Dierker based on a real person? I don't know, but the Nazis did try to develop an atomic bomb. That was, and the Nazis were exploring an atomic bomb even before World War II had started. Ah, great, I didn't want to throw that grenade. That was an accident, but...
Shite.
Why were people against fighting in World War I? Well, it depends on where, exactly. If you're talking about America, I can tell you the American perspective on World War I. The American perspective on World War I was basically, it was a bunch of stupid kings and queens that are starting a war. Why should we get involved? That was pretty much the American perspective on World War I, was that. Now look, World War I and World War II were very different, conflicts. People mix them up all the time, but like World War II, you basically had, Nazi Germany, fascist Italy, and the Empire of Japan that were really trying to take over Europe and North Africa and Asia. But the in World War I, in World War II, the bad guys were the Axis, but in World War I, both the Allies and the Central Powers were bad. Both of the sides were bad in World War I. So World War I was very different, because in World War I, you could make the argument that like, Russia and France were just as responsible as Germany was in World War I. Because if you look at, like, just both of those countries, Russia and France were extremely aggressive in World War I. So Germany was, you could make the argument that Germany was a bit more aggressive than the other countries, but in World War I, they were both, and I want to make it clear, I'm talking about World War I when I say this. I'm not talking about World War II. But in World War I, it was that, it was just World War I would say, was probably, like, the stupidest war in human history, I would say. Because, like, when you think of, like, dumb wars, like, think of stupid and pointless wars, right? A lot of people think, like, Iraq was the most pointless war, or they think that, like, Vietnam was the most pointless war. But I'll tell you something, the king of pointless wars is World War I. World War I is the stupidest war that was ever fought in human history, and it was such a stupid war that over 100 years later, people are still debating about how World War I started. Like, people, like, if you get, like, 100 historians together, right, like 100 people that study history, and you ask them, who started World War II, all 100 will tell you that it was the Axis. But if you get 100 historians together and you ask them, who started World War I guarantee you there's going to be massive arguments in that. Like, not all 100 are going to agree on that. So there's going to be that. Like, a lot of people say that it was Franz Duke Ferdinand getting assassinated, but the thing about that is that World War I would have still happened regardless. If Franz Duke Ferdinand had gotten assassinated or not, World War I would have still happened. The assassination of Franz Duke Ferdinand was only the spark of the war. It was what basically sparked the conflict. But it would have just started over something else stupid if it wasn't over Franz Duke Ferdinand. Like, for example, I'll tell you this. What happened is during in 1870, France was a military dictatorship in 1870, and they were controlled by Napoleon III, which Napoleon III was Napoleon I's nephew, and Napoleon III was more of a dictator than a monarch, but France was a military dictatorship at that time. And what happened is Prussia and France fought a war together. And Prussia was the largest German state. Now, Otto von Bismarck, who was the chancellor of Prussia at the time, he started a war with France. And he started that war because he wanted to unify the German states into one single country, Germany. And it worked for the most part. The German states did unify, and he formed, that's how Germany became a country. It's basically, Bismarck started a war with France, and they formed, all the German states formed into one German state. Now, what happened is Napoleon III was not like his uncle, because his uncle, Napoleon I, was actually a very smart military commander. Napoleon III was actually a pretty stupid commander. He was not he was not like his uncle at all. And what ended up happening is the Prussians destroyed the Prussians, the Germans, destroyed the French. The French got obliterated in that war, and Napoleon III got captured. Napoleon III was forced into exile. He was forced into exile, and he lived in London for the rest of his life. And what happened was Germany annexed Alsace-Lorraine. Now, Alsace-Lorraine was a territory that was on the French and German border. Germany annexed it. And one of the reasons that France was so aggressive in World War I is because they wanted to get Alsace-Lorraine back from Germany. The reason that Germany was so aggressive in World War I is because they wanted to steal land from France, and also probably from Russia as well. But the land that Germany wanted to steal from Russia wasn't even Russian land; it was Polish land. And the reason that Britain was also kind of aggressive was because Britain wanted to take Germany's colonies. The reason that Italy was so aggressive in World War I was because they wanted to take land from the Austrian-Hungarian Empire, and that land is actually the modern-day land of Croatia. Croatia does not belong to Italy or to Austria; it belongs to the Croatians. But Italy basically declared war on Austria because they wanted to steal land. They wanted to steal Croatia from Austria, so they just wanted to build their empire. The reason the Ottoman Empire was aggressive in World War I was because they wanted to get the Balkans back. That's pretty much what it was. They wanted to get the Balkans back in their empire. So they wanted to conquer, like, Serbia, like, Bosnia, or at least get Bosnia back. That's what the Ottomans wanted. The reason that what other country was it? The reason that Bulgaria was so aggressive in World War I is because Bulgaria wanted revenge on Serbia because of the Balkan Wars. Because Serbia and Bulgaria fought a war against each other, and Serbia won in the Balkan Wars. And Serbia took a chunk of Bulgaria, and Bulgaria was pissed about that. What else was it? But do you guys see a pattern in this? Do you guys see a pattern when I'm saying this? Almost every single country that got involved in World War I got involved because they wanted some territory. They wanted to steal land. That was pretty much the whole reason that the vast majority of countries got involved in World War I, is because they all wanted to steal land from somebody. It was all this country wanted, this empire wanted to steal land from another empire. That was pretty much what it was about. There was very few countries that were innocent in World War I. The vast majority of the countries in World War I were guilty. One of the only countries that I would say was probably innocent in World War I was probably Serbia. Serbia didn't really do that many bad things in World War I, and also Poland. Poland was not an independent country at that time. And what was so sad about Poland in World War I is that Poland was not a country during World War I. It was conquered by both Germany, Austria, and Russia. And what happened is you had Polish people in all three armies. So you had Polish people in the German army, and Polish people in the Austrian army, and Polish people in the Russian army, and they killed each other. Literally, Poles killing each other. That's what was so sad about World War I with Poland. And, yeah, so that's what I'll say is that, honestly, the cause of World War I can be blamed on empire. It's ultimately empire. It's a bunch of greedy monarchs, a bunch of greedy kings and queens that wanted to start the war. They were stupid. If you want to know the reason that America got involved in World War I, America didn't get involved in World War I for freedom or, it wasn't about freedom or democracy like, Woodrow Wilson had said. The reason that America had gotten involved in World War I was because what happened was American banks had loaned the British millions of dollars. I'm saying, like, this would be probably worth, like, hundreds of millions of dollars in today's money. And what happened is Britain was losing the war. In 1917, or before America got involved in the war, Britain was losing the war. The reason that Britain was losing the war at that time was because what happened is Germany had the second largest army in the world. And the largest army in the world was Russia. Russia pulled out of the war. Because what happened was the Russian Civil War. The Bolsheviks came to power, they overthrew the transitionary government in Russia, and the new Bolshevik government signed a peace treaty with Germany. And what Germany did was they took all their soldiers on the Eastern Front and put them on the Western Front. And they basically sent them up against the British and the French. Now, the British and the French were outnumbered at that point. They were on the verge of defeat. And the reason the U.S. got involved in the war is because the U.S. was actually scared that if Britain lost the war, the British banks, I would say, would not be able to pay back the American banks. And the British did not pay back the American banks, so what would have happened? The American economy would have crashed. And so that's ultimately why, America got involved in the war. So literally, when I talk about, like, World War I, like, World War II, you know who the good guys and the bad guys are in World War II. In World War II, the bad guys are clearly, Germany, Italy, and Japan. But in World War I, for example, who the bad guys are, it's not really clear on that. Because they're all bad guys. All of them are. Everybody that fought in World War I was literally, all of them had bad reasons. Some countries were worse than others, but all of them had bad reasons. And so they ultimately were, it was just a stupid war, ultimately. The whole thing was just idiotic. Oh, and I missed one thing, Russia. Why was Russia so aggressive in World War I? The reason that Russia was so aggressive in World War I was because what happened was Russia was humiliated by Japan in the Russo-Japanese War. So Japan fought a war against Russia in 1904 and 1905. And how that war basically started is both sides were bad in the Russo-Japanese War. They were both, not good guys in that conflict. What happened is it started over Korea. Now, Japan wanted half of Korea to be part of their empire. They wanted Korea to be basically a colony of theirs, which they later had. They later had all of Korea. Now, Russia was expanding into Asia at the time. And, guys, watch this. This is going to be good. Yeah, you blow up the bridge here. Yeah, nice. Nazi bridge destroyed. So, basically what happened is, yeah, nice. Look at that. That's cool, right? So Russia lost that war against Japan. Now, what happened is, Japan sent Russia a telegram, and they basically told Russia, why don't we split Korea? You get half of Korea, and we get half of Korea. And, like I said, I'm not defending either side in this. Both sides were bad. They were both trying to carve up Korea. But what happened is, Russia basically said, no, we're taking all of Korea. Japan got really pissed off, and what Japan did is Japan basically took their fleet and just surprised Russia and just obliterated the entire Russian fleet. They just destroyed them. And the Russian Navy was so incompetent. They were so stupid. Like, whenever you think of the Russian military in history, you always think of, like, this professional fighting force. But Russia has had, like, a lot of disasters, military disasters in their history. And, like, one of them was the Russo-Japanese War. Do you know what was so stupid? Russia took their battleships. And what they did was they moved them all the way around Africa. So they sailed all the way around Africa. And what happened was the Russian Navy, they encountered a battleship in the ocean, on the ocean when they were sailing around Africa. And they fired at that battleship thinking that that was the Japanese because they saw a red flag. But that red flag was not the Japanese. You know, they saw part of the flag was red, but it was the British. So the Russian Navy was so stupid that they had accidentally mistaken a British destroyer for a Japanese destroyer. They opened fire on it, and the British opened fire back on them, and the British destroyed the Russian ships. That was really, they got obliterated, completely destroyed. And so that war was a disaster for Russia. Russia got completely destroyed in that conflict. And what actually happened at that time is Poland actually staged a rebellion. So when Russia was fighting Japan at the time, Poland staged a rebellion against Russia. And the Polish were actually in contact with the Japanese. So the Polish were actually working with the Japanese government at that time because Poland, Piłsudski, who later became, the Marshal of Poland, he met with the Japanese Prime Minister. I don't know if he met with the Emperor of Japan, but he met with the Japanese Prime Minister and he told Japan that, support us. We're starting an uprising in Poland. This will distract Russian troops from the front and you guys can defeat them. And I think Japan supported the Polish uprising to a degree. But, Japan wasn't helping Poland out of the kindness of their heart. They just wanted Russia to lose. That was pretty much what it was about. But when, even though the uprising in Poland had failed, Polish people had celebrated when Russia lost to Japan. Like, they were just happy. Because Poland was being oppressed by Russia for just so long at that time. Russia had basically tried to destroy Poland's culture, their language, their religion, their culture. The Russians made it illegal to speak Polish at one point in your own land. So the Russian occupation of Poland was very brutal. And so Russia got humiliated by Japan. Japan won that war. And Japan actually took Sakhalin, half of Sakhalin. That was a province of Siberia from Russia. Now, the reason this ties into World War I is because when Russia lost that war to Japan, Japan was a new empire at that time. It was a brand new empire. And even though it was a brand new empire, this was the first time in like nearly 1,000 years that a European empire had lost to an Asian empire. The last time that an Asian empire had won in like 900 years ago was when the Mongolians had conquered like Russia and parts of Poland. And there's a lot of really strong Asian empires, don't get me wrong. But the reason that was important is because a lot of Europeans were very racist at that time. A lot of European empires were extremely racist. And so they believed that the Asian empires, the Asian, countries, that they weren't as tough fighters as Europeans, is what a lot of the, European empires believed at the time. And when Russia lost to Japan, Russia became a laughingstock. Like all the other empires, Britain was laughing at Russia, Germany was laughing at Russia, France was laughing at Russia. Russia became a laughingstock. And the Tsar at the time, the Russian king, he was humiliated. He was so pissed off about that, about all the other empires laughing at him. And so when World War I started, the reason that he got involved in World War I was because Russia had a treaty with Serbia, but they didn't have to get involved in the conflict. The reason that Russia mobilized in World War I is because the Tsar thought that he could defeat both Austria-Hungary and Germany. And he basically wanted to show, oh, Russia's still a strong power. Russia can defeat Germany. And he basically, that's what it was ultimately about. The Tsar wanted to show that Russia was still a mighty empire. He wanted to show that Russia could still fight a war. And that's why Russia got involved in World War I, because they wanted to demonstrate that they could defeat Germany. And it turned into a disaster. Their entire economy collapsed. There was massive starvation in Russia. It led to a brutal civil war and eventually the creation of the Soviet Union. So that's what it was. So I know I talk a little bit too much sometimes, guys. I'm sorry if I'm boring anybody with my stories. I like to, for people that ask me how I know all this stuff, I like to read a lot. I read a lot of history. And so that's, but ultimately, like, just for me to shorten it down, is that no country had legitimate reasons for getting involved in World War I. Every single country that had gotten involved in World War I had gotten involved for some stupid reason. And it was they were all trying to get involved for empire. It was ultimately about empire, and they wanted to just steal land from other countries. That's pretty much what it was. Oh, great! I got no ammo left. What just happened?
Hör auf, hier rumzuschleichen! Ich will...
This guys. Well, what I will say, though, guys, is that here's the thing that I'll say. I'll say something about American history that probably a lot of people might disagree with this heavily on. But one of the reasons that America was attacked at like Pearl Harbor, this is going back to this exact thing. It was because one of the reasons that America allowed itself to be attacked is because of racism. Racism contributed to the attack at Pearl Harbor. Now, you're probably wondering, how the hell did racism contribute to it? Racism contributed to it because America at that time did not believe that Japan had the military capabilities to attack Hawaii. That was it. American military intelligence at that time severely underestimated Japan. And they did not think that Japan had military capabilities to attack Hawaii. It was basically overconfidence. That's pretty much what it was. It was the American government was overconfident, and they did not think that Japan had the military capabilities to attack Hawaii when they did. And the thing about this is, Japan did not just have the military capabilities to launch an air raid on Hawaii, but they also had Japan, if they wanted to, could have actually conquered Hawaii. They tried to do that actually during the Battle of Midway. If Japan had succeeded in the Battle of Midway, if we lost the Battle of Midway, Japan would have used Midway Island as a staging ground to invade Hawaii. That's exactly what would have happened if we had lost the Battle of Midway. And so what actually happened at that time, when Japan attacked Hawaii, the American media, if you look at what the American newspapers were writing, the American newspapers could not believe that Japan attacked Hawaii. They couldn't believe that. And the American newspapers were saying the only reason that Japan could have attacked Hawaii was because Germany had to have built up their military. That's what they were fully convinced, that it was Germany. But Germany actually had very little to do with Japan's military. Very little. Almost nothing. And Germany was actually just as surprised that Japan attacked Pearl Harbor. They actually couldn't believe that Japan had done that too. They were surprised at Japan's military strength. So that's what it was. So one of the worst things that you can do in history, when you're fighting a war, one of the worst things that you can do, or even before a war starts, one of the worst possible things that you can do is to underestimate your enemies. That is one of the worst things that you can do, is to underestimate your enemies. Overconfidence is going to lead to your downfall. That's pretty much what it is. And just think about why did Hitler lose World War II? You think about that. Why did he lose overconfidence? Because Hitler thought that he could conquer everybody. He thought that the German military was completely unstoppable. It was pretty overconfident. So that. I'm not defending Germany at all. I want to make that clear. I cannot stand Nazis. What I'm saying is that overconfidence, a lot of times, is responsible for a lot of defeats in history. And overconfidence led to, America getting attacked at Pearl Harbor, and overconfidence definitely contributed to Germany losing World War II. But what I will say about it also is, it's probably a good thing that Hitler was so overconfident, because Hitler was so stupid that Germany lost the war quicker. So that's actually probably that worked for us. So we were able to defeat Germany. Because if Germany had a more competent leader, it would have been scary. It would have been terrifying. That's it. It would have been much worse, and the war could have gone on for years and years. So that's let's see here. Okay. Go here.
You first.
Ich kenne dich. Du bist der
What the?
Saboteur.
Why can't I couldn't sucker punch him there. Ah, no. Damn. But if you guys notice, the Germans were actually using a French tank at the time. That's actually accurate, is the Germans actually captured a lot of equipment from the French military, and they did use that. So that is accurate that they have in this game here.
Monsieur,
But
some
ultimately, I'm gonna have a
protection?
Sniper Elite lore video coming out, and it's about the real life, assassination attempt on how the Allies had wanted to use a British sniper to kill Hitler. Now, here's the thing about this. In 1944, the Allies stopped trying to assassinate Hitler. So up until 1944, the Allies were constantly trying to think of ways to kill Hitler. But in 1944, they stopped trying to assassinate him. Why? Why did they stop trying to assassinate Hitler? The reason is because they realized that Hitler was doing more damage to Germany than if they had killed him. Because if they had killed Hitler, what would have happened is the Nazis would have used Hitler's death as a martyr, and they would have said they might have been, the Nazi government might have brainwashed the people into fighting even harder. And so Hitler was making a lot of really stupid mistakes. He was making a lot of really stupid, dumb, idiotic things. And the Allies thought that if they kill him, that another German general that is actually much smarter might take over. And that the war might go on for years more. So that's what they were scared about. That's why they didn't kill Hitler in 1944, is because he was going to bring about Germany's defeat quicker than any other, any other official. Because I'll tell you though, Hitler was not just one of the most evil men in history, but he was also the biggest narcissist in human history. Hitler was definitely the biggest narcissist in human history. A narcissist is basically somebody that thinks that they're smarter than everyone. A narcissist is like somebody who thinks that they're smarter than everyone and everyone else is an idiot. And that perfectly, that's basically Hitler. He's the worst narcissist in human history. Oh, my car. I didn't think my car would get caught in that. Oh, well. Now, here's the thing about this, is people have asked me before, was Stalin not narcissistic? Stalin was narcissistic, but he wasn't as narcissistic as Hitler. Hitler's narcissism was something else. Now, look, what Stalin did was, in the 1930s, Stalin killed off a lot of Soviet generals. And Stalin made a lot of really stupid mistakes. He purged the Soviet military, and he killed off a lot of Soviet generals that were actually really smart people. So he killed off a lot of really smart officers. And what happened is, when Germany betrayed the Soviet Union and broke the Molotov-Ribbentrop Pact, the Soviet military was completely unprepared for that. They were completely unprepared for a massive German offensive at that time. Operation Barbarossa, the invasion of the Soviet Union by Germany, is the largest invasion in human history. A lot of people don't know that, but Germany invading the Soviet Union is the largest invasion in human history. And there's no other invasion that compares to the size of what Operation Barbarossa was. So that was the largest invasion in human history. And so Stalin, was completely unprepared for that. He purged the Soviet military. They were very incompetent. And if you guys want to know, one way to see how incompetent the Soviet military was at that time. Does anybody here know what an SVT-40 is? The Soviet rifle. Does anybody in the comments know what an SVT-40 is? I know what it is, but I want to see this, if anybody knows the gun that I'm talking about here in the comments. I'm sure there's people that know about it. Let me see here. You know what? I'm just gonna blow this up here like this. What the hell? What the? Okay, I'm not gonna question it. Okay, so the SVT-40. The SVT-40 was a very modern gun. The SVT-40 was actually even futuristic by World War II standards. It was a very modern gun at the time. And the SVT-40 was one of the first, mass-produced semi-auto rifles. And the Soviets actually planned for the SVT-40 to be its standard issue rifle eventually. They wanted to replace that with the Mosin Nagant. Now, the thing about the SVT-40, the first version of the SVT-40 was the SVT-38, and it was used in the Winter War. The SVT-38 had an issue where it would drop the magazine, so the magazine would fall out of the gun constantly. It was fixed with the version, the version in, oh, it's the tractor, I was looking for that. The version in the SVT-40 version fixed that issue. Let's see here. Get here. Okay. You know what we're gonna do? Hang on one second. This is a French tank. Make sure that this all goes up. Okay. What the? How slow is this thing? Seriously, it's this thing is this slow? I have to put this thing in my garage? How am I gonna get this thing in my garage? Which is this. AVT-40 was better. It was fully automatic. No, the AVT-40 was a disaster. you do not want to make a gun full, like a gun like the AVT-40, a SVT. You don't want to make a gun like that, you know, fully automatic. With just the amount of recoil, it fires a very powerful cartridge. So what I was saying about the SVT-40, this is how incompetent the Soviet military was. Do you know what the Soviets did? They put all of their SVT-40s on the border with Germany. The part of Poland that they conquered, they put all their SVT-40s on that border with Germany. And that's one of the stupidest things that you can do. That's such a stupid thing because when Germany invaded, what happened with the SVT-40s is the Soviets didn't even blow up the armories. They didn't take the SVT-40s. They didn't blow them up. They just left them there. And so the Germans captured hundreds of thousands of SVT-40s. And they used them against the Soviets. And the Germans later developed the Gewehr 43 based off of the, oh, well, I got killed here. Off of the design off the SVT-40. So the Gewehr 43 was a German attempt at their own SVT-40. That's pretty much what it was. And so that's how incompetent the Soviet military was. They left all those weapons there. They didn't even try to blow them up, and the Germans had just captured all of that. So what I was getting at with Hitler being a narcissist and Stalin being a narcissist, Hitler is an even worse narcissist than Stalin. Because what I'll say about this is that Stalin did a really stupid thing when he purged the Soviet military. But what Stalin did was Stalin learned from that. And what Stalin did is when World War II happened, Stalin demanded reports from his generals, but he didn't go in the room and like tell his generals, oh, you gotta do this or you gotta do that. Hitler, on the other hand, would constantly go into the boardroom when his generals were planning, and he would just be like, you gotta do this and that and this and that, and no question, you gotta follow my orders, do this. And so even when the generals knew something was really stupid and idiotic, they still had to do it. Like for example, like Dunkirk. One of the reasons that the British were able to evacuate from Dunkirk is because the Germans had halted their advance. And they halted their advance because they needed permission from Hitler to keep advancing. And so, if Hitler had given his generals more free reign, those generals might have actually pushed towards Dunkirk and captured the rest of the evacuees. But because they were delayed, because they had to wait for Hitler to give the specific order, that's why I say Hitler is such a the biggest narcissist in human history. Is that he always thought he was smarter than everyone. He thought that he was a tactical genius when he was a complete idiot. You know, the only reason that Germany had conquered so much during World War II wasn't because Hitler was some tactical genius. It was the German generals themselves. It was the German technology and the German generals. The German military is very very well equipped, and they were very well trained. That's why they had conquered so much. It wasn't because Hitler was some military general. In fact, he was an idiot. So that was, that's about that, pretty much. Honestly, if I had to choose, would I rather have an AVT-40 or an SVT-40? I would rather have an SVT-40, not an AVT. No, thank you. I don't want the civilians to get hurt here. Hang on. What do you think is the most realistic war game ever made? Hell Let Loose. Okay.
Easy there.
Okay. Okay, let's see here. What are we gonna do here? Imagine Erwin Rommel being in charge of Germany. Well, the thing about that, Erwin Rommel argued with Hitler a lot. And, you know, Rommel actually told Hitler to negotiate. That's what he told. Rommel told Hitler, negotiate with the Allies. Because Rommel was saying that we still have some force that we could negotiate. But at this point is that, Rommel understood that if Germany keeps fighting, it's going to lose. And so Rommel told Hitler, negotiate now. But Hitler basically told Rommel that no, it's victory or death. And so Hitler said no. So that's let's say, Hitler brought Germany, Hitler brought Germany to its knees. Like, Germany got completely obliterated because of him. Like, if you look at what Germany looks like in 1945, like, the country was destroyed. Its infrastructure was just completely crippled. Its cities were blown to hell. And that's all because Hitler refused to surrender. He could have surrendered and stopped all of that. But no, he wanted to keep fighting until the end. And look at what he did to his country. And this is what I'll tell you guys about this. Kaiser Wilhelm, the last emperor of Germany. Kaiser Wilhelm was not a good man. But he wasn't evil. Hitler was evil on the other hand. Kaiser Wilhelm did not want to see Germany destroyed. He knew that if Germany keeps fighting World War I, that they're going to lose. He knew that it's a waste of human life, resources, and that the whole country is going to get destroyed. Germany would have been totally destroyed if it had kept fighting in World War I. And so he surrendered. You know, the German government ultimately surrendered and they negotiated. You know, they did get a crappy deal, but it's good that they surrendered because if they had kept fighting in World War I, all of Germany would have gotten destroyed. And that's that was it. Is that Kaiser Wilhelm understood that he had to surrender, that he had no choice. He understood that. But Hitler, on the other hand, did not understand that. In Hitler's mind, there was no such thing as surrender. No such thing as that. It was always you fight till the end. And what happened is, I'll tell you this. And this just shows the complete evilness of Hitler. Is Albert Speer. Albert Speer was the head architect of Germany. He was the head architect of Germany during World War II. Now Speer was responsible for all like the oh crap, hang on a second. Speer was responsible for massive German infrastructure being built, factories, you know, massive projects being built. And what happened is Speer was tasked with what was it called, the Nero Decree. The Nero Decree was based on the Roman Emperor Nero, who set Rome on fire. And Hitler gave him specific orders in March of 1945. And in March of 1945, all was lost. Germany had no chance of winning the war. It was screwed at that point. And what Hitler basically told Albert Speer is he told him, I want you to destroy everything. All German infrastructure. And when I'm saying all German infrastructure, we're not just talking about factories. We're talking about everything. Schools, factories, farms were to be burned. Railroad stations were to be blown up. Railroad tracks were to be destroyed. Anything that was to be important for Germany to recover after the war, Hitler wanted it to be destroyed. And Speer told Hitler that he said, don't do this, because if you destroy all of this, our people are going to starve after the war. If they have no farms, all the farms are burnt, and our factories are destroyed, our entire country is not going to be able to be rebuilt. Like, everyone's going to starve to death. And Hitler had basically told Speer that that's not his concern. And he said that the real Germans have already died. And he said that the Germans who remain right now are weak, and they deserve to be destroyed. That's what Hitler said. So that's what Hitler thought about his own people as well. And that shows you, and the thing about this is Speer was not some good man, by the way. Speer was also a bad person, because Speer used concentration camp slave labor for his projects. But Speer, even though he was, you know, a terrible person as well, he at least did not want to see Germany completely destroyed, where Hitler did not care about that. Hitler was basically, if I'm going down, all of Germany is going down with me. That was, you know, that was his view. And that just shows you just how evil Hitler was. It was just so horrible that he's just willing to starve out his own people, saying that his own people deserve to be destroyed as well for failing him. In Hitler's eyes, it was never that he had failed the German people. It was always the German people had failed him. That's how he always saw it. And for people wondering, Albert Speer had actually disobeyed that order. He didn't carry out the order. He didn't burn the farms like Hitler wanted to. And that's actually one of the reasons that Germans didn't largely starve after World War I, was because of that. Because Speer refused to destroy the German farms and the German infrastructure. But what happened is, after World War II, Speer was actually, Speer was put on trial. And Speer was actually not given the death penalty. Speer served, I think, like 20 years in prison, but he didn't get the death penalty. And he is one of the only top-ranking Nazis who did not get the death penalty, because most of the top-ranking Nazis got the death penalty, but Speer didn't get it, and it was because of that, because he refused to destroy the German infrastructure. So it was for that reason. Do you think that the Russian Empire would have survived if Nicholas II would have made Russia a constitutional monarchy? Well, Russia technically was a constitutional monarchy to a degree at that time. You know, after the 1905 revolution, you know, there was a parliament put in power, but that parliament really had no power. It was still it was the Russian Duma. It was the power of the, the power was still rested in the monarchy's hands. But honestly, Nicholas, what Nicholas should have done is he should have resigned. That's like, I mean, he kind of did resign when the provisional government happened, but he should have resigned much earlier than that. Honestly, you know, do you know who I blame for Russia falling to communism? I blame Nicholas more than the Bolsheviks themselves, because it was Nicholas's incompetence, and Nicholas was a complete idiot, and so that's why the Bolsheviks came to power. Nicholas was also a murderer, by the way. Nicholas had murdered so many innocent Russian civilians. So he had committed horrible crimes against his own people as well. So I'm not a defender of communism. I hate communism as well. But when Nicholas got executed, I don't really feel bad for him, honestly. I feel more bad for the kids. The kids didn't deserve it. But I can't say that I feel bad for Nicholas, because Nicholas was a horrible human being. Let me see here. What if Hindenburg was president during World War II? Well, if Hindenburg was president, there would not have been a World War II. I don't think that Hindenburg would have started a war if he was leader of Germany. So that was it. Hindenburg did not really get along with Hitler. They really didn't get along with each other. Okay. Okay. I'm gonna put a charge on the gas station here. Well, the Japanese attack on Australia. Are you talking about the bombing Are you talking about the bombing of Darwin? Is that what you're talking about? The Japanese did an aerial attack on Australia where they bombed the port of Darwin. Leopold or Hitler, who's worse? Hitler, but Leopold is still worse. I mean, not worse, but they're both really evil. That's what I say. Hitler was worse than Leopold, but Leopold was also really evil. I would have to say that when we're talking about monarchies, like strictly speaking monarchies, if we're talking about dictators, like dictators, I would say the most evil dictator in history would probably have to be Hitler. Second most evil dictator would probably have to be Stalin, and then third would probably be Mao Zedong. But when we're talking strictly about monarchy, if we're not talking about dictators, but we're just talking about monarchy like kings and queens, then the most evil monarch in history, I would have to probably say would probably have to be Leopold. Leopold, that guy was like honestly one of the worst human beings that ever lived on this planet. If hell exists, that's exactly where Leopold is. So that's what I say about that, is that was just that guy. If you want to know who Leopold was, why was Leopold so evil as a king? What Leopold did was Leopold was the king of Belgium. Now, when you think of Belgium, you know, it's a really small country in like Western Europe, and a lot of people don't think that a small country like Belgium could do such horrible, evil things, but it did. And this is to show you that even when a country is really small, it's still really capable of doing such horrible and evil things. But what Leopold did that was so bad and so horrible is the Belgians had conquered the Congo in Africa, and they made that into their colony. Now, out of all the European empires, British, you know, German Empire, French Empire, Italian Empire, all of the European empires that were in Africa, the Belgians were the worst when it came to their colonies in Africa. The Belgians, what they did was they had slavery up until even the 1890s in the Congo, and how the Belgians were so cruel that the slaves were essentially just worked to death. Like you had hundreds of thousands of slaves that were dying, they were being worked to death, and if a slave slowed down at any point, like they slowed down, they got tired, the Belgians would cut their hands off. And you had thousands of people in the Congo who had their hands cut off. That's why if you look at pictures of people in the Congo in the in the late 1800s, you'll see a lot of people that don't have their hands. Their hands were actually cut off by the Belgians who did that to them. And how many people did King Leopold murder in the Congo? Over 1 million Congo people. So that's 1 million Africans were murdered by the Belgians. And it's honestly one of the, I would say Leopold would probably have to be the worst monarch. I would have to probably think of. Yeah, it was just horrible. That guy is just, you know, pure evil. I honestly, I think to myself, like, a lot of times, you know, when you look at these, like, these horrible events that happen in history, right? And like you look at something like that, like what happened in the Congo, and hang on a second, let me just here. You look at something like that, like with what happened in the Congo, and I basically think to myself, I'm like, how can some people do stuff like this? Like, you know, how can people do things like this to other people? Like, do these people not have a soul? Do these people not have a conscience? I don't know how. I don't understand how somebody can do something like that to another human being. That's just so horrible, and it just shows you that there's evil in this world. Evil exists in this world, and it's just that's. Napoleon, I would not say was evil. Napoleon was a bad guy, but he wasn't evil. That's what I say. Like Napoleon, if you compare Napoleon to Leopold, Napoleon was a saint compared to Leopold. What did he do in the Congo? Leopold mass murdered 1 million Congo people in the Belgian colony in the Congo. They murdered over 1 million people, and they had slavery, and they would cut slaves' hands off. So that's it's just honestly, like I said, if hell exists, it's exactly where Leopold is. That's like, and the thing about this is when I tell people about this, that Belgium murdered like 1 million people in Africa, like a lot of people like don't believe me, because a lot of people think that like a small country like Belgium, you know, wouldn't be able to do something like that, because Belgium today is like one of the most peaceful countries ever. It's like a very small country in Western Europe, but no, Belgium did really horrible, evil things too. Okay. Here. Okay, see what do we got? Okay, here we go. Okay, let's see here. Is Batista a psychopath or a sociopath? You're talking about the dictator of Cuba in the 1930s. That's what you're talking about, right? Well, he was dictator up until the 50s, but he took power in the 30s. Batista was that horrible human being. I don't know if I would call him a psychopath, but he was you know, definitely a very horrible person. What about Mao Zedong? Oh, Mao Zedong, that guy's, you know, horrible. And do you know what I find so strange about the Chinese education system? Is that they teach that Mao Zedong is this great hero of China, because obviously the Chinese Communist Party control the country, so they're gonna portray this guy as like some great hero. Mao Zedong was a horrible, evil person. Mao Zedong also raped Chinese girls. People don't know about that. Yeah, the guy was a really, really horrible person. And what actually happened is, there was this one guy, I'll tell you guys this story. Mao Zedong had raped this one girl, and what he did was, when he raped this one girl, she got an STD from him. And the dad was so angry about that he wrote an angry letter to Mao Zedong. And he went to the Chinese post office, and he wanted that sent to Mao Zedong. And the postmaster told him, I'm not sending this. And the dad said, why? And he said, because Mao is going to kill you, and he's probably going to kill me for sending this letter. And so that's, yeah, so Mao Zedong was a rapist, and he was a mass murderer, too. You know, you had the Red Guards in China, which They killed how many people? Yeah, this guy is. But you know what I find weird also about the Chinese education system is that they teach that Chiang Kai-shek is like this really evil person, which Chiang Kai-shek was the nationalist leader of China. Now Chiang Kai-shek was not a good man. He was a bad person. He did bad things as well, but it's nowhere near the scale of Mao Zedong. Nowhere near that. And so that's what China gets so pissed off at Taiwan for having statues of Chiang Kai-shek, and they say that, oh, you know, Chiang Kai-shek fought against China. Well, Chiang Kai-shek technically did not fight against China. You could argue that he was fighting for China because he was fighting to stop the communists from taking over the country. You know, Chiang Kai-shek fought against the Japanese. He fought against the Japanese to kick them out of China too. But that they get so pissed off at the Taiwanese for regarding, you know, Chiang Kai-shek as a hero and having statues to Chiang Kai-shek, but then they're perfectly fine with having statues to Mao Zedong, who is one of the worst murderers in human history. Oh, Chiang Kai-shek fled to Taiwan. See here. Take care of these here. Here. It's bedtime? No, it's not. I go to sleep really late. My bedtime is much, you know, very late.
Oh, fucking deadly!
They're good, CO Gamer. How are you, man? I can't climb that? Why? Oh, why did you become a landlord? Great question. Well, I guess we'll stay away from talking about the evil dictators for now. I decided to become a landlord for 2 reasons. One way was to generate passive income, because I wanted to, well, it was 3 reasons. There's 3 reasons that I became a landlord. The first one was I wanted to develop passive income. Second reason was because I wanted to not be dependent on YouTube income. Now look, YouTube is this is my job. This is, you know, how I make a living, is YouTube. But I don't want to be just dependent on just YouTube for that. I want to make money from other sources too. And the third reason that I got into becoming a landlord was because I wanted my money to be safe. And what I mean by that is that when you buy property, generally when you buy property, what happens is it goes up in value. Most of the time, property over the years goes up in value. And so I want, and this is a new house that I bought, this rental property. And so I want my money to be safe. And the reason I want my money to be safe is because with inflation happening, if I have all the, you know, money in the bank, with inflation happening, that money is going to lose value over time. But if I put it into a property, it's actually going to increase in value over time. And so it's a way to protect my assets too. So that's basically the reasons that I became a landlord. Let's see here. Okay. Do you know anything interesting about the First and Second Opium Wars?
Oi, stop that!
The Opium Wars are one of the worst things that Britain has done in its history. Like, if I was to name, like, the worst things the British Empire had done, the Opium Wars is one of the worst things that the British Empire has done. What the Opium Wars were basically is, what happened is, British merchants went into China. And those British merchants that went into China, they were selling drugs, opium. And they were getting Chinese addicted to that. And so an opium drug epidemic happened in China, or you had tons of people becoming drug addicts and becoming dependent on this drug. Now, what happened is the Chinese got really pissed off about that, and they kicked out the British merchants. They said, no, get the hell out of here. You're not dealing drugs in our country. And the British got pissed off at the Chinese for kicking out the British drug dealers. The reason that the British got pissed off about that is because the British were actually taxing the drug dealers. And so the British Empire was making money off of that. And so what happened is the British then they attacked the Chinese. They attacked the Chinese, and they forced the Chinese to accept the opium dealers. And so they let the Chinese continue to get addicted to drugs. So the Chinese fought back against that. They fought back to get drugs out of their country, and Britain flooded their country with drugs. And so that's it. At that time, Britain was a narco state, essentially. It was a drug-running empire. You know, they were literally... A lot of people don't think about that. They don't think that Britain was a narco state, but it essentially was at that time, with what they were doing in the Opium Wars. One of the worst things the British Empire has ever done, getting an entire people addicted to drugs. And while they were getting the Chinese addicted to drugs, the thing about this is that, guess where opium was illegal? Britain. That's right. So they didn't want their own people getting addicted to drugs. Opium was illegal in Britain itself, but they were perfectly fine with the Chinese getting addicted to opium and making money off of it. So that's, yeah.
I think I'd go tits up without me smokes.
Thank you, James Burns. Thank you for sponsoring my channel. Pol Pot, that guy was a psycho. Pol Pot, what Pol Pot basically did was, Pol Pot had killed anybody who knew to speak a second language. Anybody who knew to speak a second language, Pol Pot would kill them. Pol Pot would kill anybody that was well-educated, so anybody that came from a well-educated background, he'd have them killed too. You know, he was just and the thing about that is Pol Pot was so brutal in his murders that even Vietnam was horrified by that, and Vietnam invaded. Vietnam was another dictatorship that was horrified by Pol Pot. So yeah, basically what I said about that is people don't know about that. The largest narco state in history was actually Britain. Because the British Empire was it was the largest empire in the world, and it was actively selling drugs. Okay. I think we'll probably wrap up the stream in a little bit, but before we do, I want to blow up another Nazi bridge. What's your question, Hesh? Here. What time is it for you? 1 a.m. Oh, I think that was the Gestapo. The Gestapo can actually see through your disguise. So,
Ihre Reisepapiere. Vielen Dank, Sie dürfen durch.
the Gestapo are one of the few NPCs that they can see through your disguise. They're the Nazi secret police. They can actually see through your disguise. Oh, okay. Okay, this bridge is still destroyed. Okay. Oh, and there's probably another bridge that I can find and I can blow up. I probably will watch Oppenheimer when I get the chance. I see a bridge. Okay, this bridge I can't blow up. The next one. Do you think the G3 is one of the best battle rifles out there? Well, the thing about German weapons is German weapons tend to be really expensive, and not only that, but German weapons always have a lot of parts, and they can be a nightmare to, yeah, German weapons can be a nightmare to take apart. That bomb's on the bridge, okay. There's a Gestapo agent on the bridge. I gotta watch out. Okay, one bomb has been planted on the bridge. Oh, who's... Oh, no, 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 no.
Oops. Moment.
Crap.
Bloody
Oh.
hell!
Didn't mean to do that. Okay. Well, this game is like a mix of everything. Hitman, Assassin's Creed. All during World War II. I hear a train. Damn, come on, come on. Climb.
Shite! Bleeding!
No! Yeah, that soldier, that was Terror Squad right there. Oh, here we go. Terror Squad are here. I didn't even realize.
Good. Hey! Da ist was explodiert!
Oh, we got another bridge. Okay. Okay. 3 more charges.
Schnell! Weg! Ja! And stay down!
Okay, this is gonna be good, guys. Okay, plant a bomb on the tracks. Okay. Got something over here. Let's see. What is this? Oh.
Shite! Gunfire!
Oh, crap. More stuff blown up there. Okay. What is that? All that stuff there. I wonder what that is there. Oops. Looks like I have alarm 3. Oh crap. Yep. I need a vehicle right now. Okay. Okay. I'm actually gonna call the resistance in for a vehicle here. Hold on a second. I can't call in a vehicle here? When you have like a really big wanted level, I want to show you guys something really cool to lose it. I think I have them. Music here. I have that because there's copyright on certain songs. And that MG42.
Sorry,
Oh no, no. Damn, they just showed up so quickly.
Down. Weapons.
Music's too loud? Okay, hold on. But anybody have any idea what the developer that made this game? Do you guys know what developer made this game? They also made a few other open world games. I think that there's a I think there's a tank over there. They made Destroy All Humans, Star Wars Battlefront, and they also made Mercenaries.
My mistake.
Yeah, this is why I don't really have music on in the car, because of just the fact that it you get a lot of these French songs that are in the game, a lot of them are copyrighted. Back here, I'm pretty sure there's a tank. What skyline? Oh yeah, here it is. This is a and I don't oh, this is not a Panther. Does anybody by any chance know what kind of tank this is? Because I know what is it? Hang on a second here. I know World War II guns, like guns I know really well, but vehicles I really don't know. I know this is a German tank. This is the Panzer something. I don't know what this tank is called. If anybody knows in the comments what this is. No, this is not a Tiger. This is something else. No, Panther Mark III, but that's the game. That's the name. That's the name in the game. It's this is not a Panther Mark III. This is called something else. In Panzer IV. I'm gonna put this in my garage. You can store a tank in your garage too.
We've got a few different cars. Look around.
Oh, I can't store APCs in... Okay, I can't store APCs in tanks yet. Okay. Oh, it has a machine gun on it too. Okay. Whoa, whoa, what the? Okay, that's a weird glitch.
And they say close only counts in partials.
What the? Whoa. trying to get alarm 5. Alarm 5 is the highest alarm that you can get. I'm trying to get that. Crap that. Never mind, okay. No, come on, no. Okay, I really wanted to show you guys this. So, when you get a high enough one level, you can bring the lure the Nazis towards the French resistance, and then you have basically like a stand.
He's down! We're too exposed! Find cover!
Fight back success, okay. Now let's get out of this area. Leave that there.
Was um alles in der Welt ist das? Suche nach dem Ziel.
Okay. Get over with safe house now. Oh, this gun isn't real. This is not a real World War II gun. This one, yeah, this was. It looks like an STG-44 with like a round drum on it. Yes, something like this. This didn't exist.
Fun is not bad if you know what you're doing.
Maybe it's
Please, a little something so I can eat.
No, they're spotting me even when I'm climbing up. Is it actually gonna hit it? Yes, it did. Oh, my bad there. Okay. I guess we'll probably wrap it up here, guys. It was a fun stream. I'll still answer some questions before I go here if you guys wanna ask me anything before I go here. I'll probably watch Oppenheimer when I get the chance, Electric. Maybe, if I get a chance to, Steve. How Yugoslavia collapsed? Yugoslavia collapsed as a result of Tito's death. There's a lot of internal fighting and a lot of nationalist movements popped up. And Yugoslavia basically fell into a lot of wars.
Top of the morning to you. Or whatever time it is.
Hello there.
Will I do a Mercenaries playthrough one day? Yes. I already did a Mercenaries playthrough. I did Mercenaries 1 3 years ago, but I'm down to do another one, yeah.
Watercolors and oils of all sizes.
What, Zach? Biocache? What? Be here. Let's, I'm gonna go over him. I'm gonna save my game. Oh, I can just save here? Okay. Yes, it was, last time we saved was, February. So half a year ago we played last time. Okay.
What have you heard? Is Paris burning?
Yeah, but look at that. We did clear out a lot of stuff here. There's still a lot of stuff left to blow up, but we did make some progress here. I used to be an adventurer like you, then I took an arrow to the knee. Thank you, man. There was, yeah. That's from Skyrim, I remember that. Yeah, the link in bio when cache it's an Instagram bios. What? What are you talking about, Zach? How long have we been streaming for today? Let me see. What is the stream's been going on for? 2 hours and 42 minutes. Okay. Did you get 100% of the game? No, I didn't, Lewis, but I did work a lot in this part here. What should I add in my Minecraft? Oh, Rumpel. Well, I can answer Rumpel. I can answer any question that you might have, Rumpel. If you want to ask me anything before I go here, I can ask you. I'm just a bit hungry, Rumpel. I just want to get something to eat, and then probably go to sleep in like 2 or 3 hours from now. You a Roblox fan? Not really. No, I haven't played. I never played Among Us. That's possible, London. If you guys enjoyed this stream, drop a like, and if you're new to my channel and enjoy my content, do subscribe to me. It does help me out. It's okay, brother. I will rewatch the stream. I would love for you to please play Red Dead Redemption 2. Want to do a playthrough? Yes, we will be doing a playthrough for Red Dead Redemption 1. I just don't know around when, but maybe actually we'll probably play Red Dead Redemption 1 in September. Yeah, we'll probably play it in September. Oh, I don't really want to get into that right now. Skyline's gonna be a long history lesson. Your cosplays are cool. Thank you, man. Would I ever box Jake Paul? No. Hey, Anomalous. You're not gonna wait for the remaster? I'll do the original and then I'll do the remaster again. That's what we'll do that. No, but I've heard of it, Rodney. Maybe one day I'll do that, Chase. Thinking about a lore video on, yeah, I was thinking about a lore video possibly on Micah one day. My favorite video game character would probably have to be Nico Bellic. A Max Payne. I'll have the next part of Max Payne up later today, guys. This next part will be up later today. Okay, guys, so I guess we'll be wrapping up the stream here, guys. I'll be wrapping up the stream here, guys. Thank you guys for hanging out with me, and thank you for liking the stream. I do appreciate it. I do appreciate it, guys, and thank you for everybody who was defending me against the Kai fans earlier. I don't know why people were getting pissed off at me for that. I was just saying that I don't know why he thought that whole event was a good idea. Zach, if you see stuff like that, just report those. If you see stuff like that, that's a scam. Hotline Miami, I've heard of it, yes, but I never played it. Okay, but I will I'll see you guys on the next one. Thank you guys for hanging out with me, and I hope that you guys have a wonderful night. Take care, everyone. See you guys.